You got to remember where I started from. I was nearly dead. And Lyme's disease destroys the little spirochetes will burrow into the brain cells, into the neurons, into the myelinating glial cells, into all of it, and they will kill it. And the same, they burrow into the whole meninges of the brain, and that gets really tough, so it can't breathe. And this isn't easily repaired. So I went from nearly dead to quite a strong recovery from that level, where I could go back to work and start doing healing work. And then ever since then, it's been a gradual process, and I combine the holographic breathing with, I make my own homeopathic remedies. I feel what's going on and I'll make a homeopathic remedy for that. So I wouldn't say I was out of the woods, but you've also got to take into account I'm 25 years older now. I'm 64, so I'm going to be a bit more slow and tired anyway than when I first got it. You know, I was 40 when I first got it. I'm still young. So when you get into 65, you've got less energy anyway. So I've combined diet, homeopathy and holographic breathing. Absolutely. Also, what is in that last birth webinar, I talk about the initiation of the breathing motion of the glial cells. The same way as we talk of the movement of the bones, I talk about how to initiate how the brain cells breathe. And I think it was that waylaid the Lyme's disease, because all the time in the background I could just feel that, you know, there's a musculature within every cell. And in the same way, holographic breathing starts this movement through the whole body. It starts that movement in every cell in the brain in the same way as it's happening in a baby. And I think that invigorated the cells and brought them to life. And also, I feel it is like how we breathed as a baby or in the womb. And in the baby and in the womb, we're producing a lot of stem cells. So I think I was able to invigorate the cells. I think I was able to produce more stem cells, even though I'm getting older. And that is how I've come back to health. Most people would never have probably lasted another 6 months than I did. The miracle is that I'm just alive every day, when I wouldn't have been alive every day. My health comes back more all of the time. I think Lyme disease is a very hard disease to fight back from, because there is so much neural damage and it is so hard to get rid of. And what I've realized with all of the homeopathic remedies, they call it Borrelia or different versions of Borrelia, and I still felt a nagging, even though I cleared it and it didn't show up on any test, I still felt it's still there in some form, because it hides, it changes shape, so it's no longer a spirochete, it becomes round or straight, or it hides in these different biofilm cysts. And in my own homeopathic remedies, instead of calling it Borrelia, what I did was I started calling it spirochetes, because I just thought there was a whole area of spirochetes that just hadn't been discovered or named. And as soon as I called it spirochetes rather than Borrelia, then suddenly all these areas that hadn't been getting better were clearing. Especially into the meninges of the brain, into the dura, because it will burrow into connective tissue to hide from the immune system. So it burrows into the dura around the brain, into the falx, into the tentorium, and this becomes hard and scar tissued, and that is helping to breathe the brain, and as that becomes tight, then the brain can't breathe. And so I specifically spirochete in the meninges of the brain or in the dura. Spirochetes attacking neurons. It also works into neurons in different ways, or into the hypothalamus area, to undermine your immune system so you can't fight back. Spirochetes that are undermining the immune system. So I started specifically making my own remedies and directing it at the areas that I thought I could feel it affecting, and that had a massive difference. And anybody making homeopathic remedies, I can truly recommend it, that rather than saying the different types of Borrelia, just say spirochetes, because I think there's just a load that hasn't been recognized. And also spirochetes that are hiding, spirochetes that have become round or straight, or not just biofilm, but you've got to say spirochete colonies in biofilm, and then the immune system will attack those colonies, because I think they're always hiding to a certain level, and then as soon as your immune system comes out, they all start coming out again. You really, with this one, you just got to clear every single one of those little buggers. Well, I made a video of how to make the remedies in the same way as I do, so you can have that video and you can put that with it, so people can make their own remedies in the way they want to. And that is just what happened. I think what it really was, this is an emotional level and a fluid level, and it was building in the brain in an emotional level and fluid level. And so I was just working on that level, and I think it wasn't just a simple release, it was divine in a way. You know, it was kind of meant to happen, so a whole thing came through at the same time. But I think that just built up, and it was like lightning. The force and intensity it drove through it reminded me of lightning hitting the earth, and that is how it came through into the jaw. And just that huge amount of energy just awoke that cellular memory, and it just started. But it's not just a physical, an energetic thing. There is a whole divine intelligence behind it. There, you know, in the webinars that I teach, this wonderful spiritual energy comes in. The screen just melts, these beings and energy just arrives, and in a way I'm teaching a spiritual thing as well, which I know nothing about. The people in the webinars feel it and come back, but there's that kind of, there's an intelligence and a healing and spiritual energies, and I've always been aware of that, because at one, I knew it was natural because I would be doing it in my sleep as well as when I was awake. But also when I would wake up, I'd realised in my sleep I'd been having conversations with these different guides and the people behind it, whatever they wanted me to understand. Because I think when I was awake, I was just too stubborn to listen to them in a way, but while I was asleep, I was open to talking with them. And that becomes more and more apparent, that there's a spiritual quality behind it, and that in a way is protecting me and helping me all of the time. And if I speak of it in the groups, it just gets stronger. And normally the last 10 minutes, it kind of works through the webinar. Normally the last quarter of an hour or so, it is more just experiencing this really divine, different qualities of divine energy or kundalini just pouring through. So it may start as a physical thing or this or that, but there's this whole healing that I don't understand, and no one really understands because it's beyond our concepts. But for me, that is what truly heals the brain. And this movement of the glial cells, what really heals them is this spiritual content coming in, or the communication. Once this area opens and is breathing, once the glial cells start breathing, once the tentorium and all of these areas start breathing, become more alive, in that breathing accent, then there's more availability to the higher energies to come in, and then they really get to fulfill their potential as a portal to receive spiritual intelligence. And that is where we have to move to as a race before we destroy our planet. You know, we really have to move along spiritually so that we don't want to do all of this stuff we're doing. And for me, more and more, I work with that. And it was interesting to me. One, when I found out that nobody else was doing it and that I had channeled something new, I'm thinking, well, there's 6 billion people on this earth. Why me? You know, I'm nearly dead. Why has it chosen a nearly dead person to come through to? And there was obviously a job involved. I thought it would just go out, and that's not the way it's gone at all. It really has been a long journey of just putting it out and putting it out, and now it's time to grow. But it's definitely a job to actually bring it through and ground it so that people can understand it and make it available, so when I've died, you know, it's still here and properly grounded and people can carry on with it. So why give that to a dying man? But the thing was, the bringing through of it was what was going to heal me. So there's a strong impetus for a dying man to get healthy, and it was that also helped me along the line with it. And I think I had made a choice that rather than die at that time and start a new life, I would start a new life without having to die, because everything I was doing before and the way that I was doing everything before just dropped away. I'm not a walk-in, I didn't become a different person, but I just shed my whole life, all my different friends, all the different things. They just dropped away or were taken away, and this whole new thing opened. So I think I probably would have died, but there was a specific thing where I was, you know, I just lay on the bed and said, I can't fight this disease, you know, take me. And I didn't want to die. I said, you know, I made a prayer. I said, look, I don't want to die, but because I didn't know it was Lyme's disease, I didn't know what it. I said, take me, and so that I can find out what this disease was. And I just dropped into my breathing. I let the illness take me. I let the tiredness take me, and very quickly the tiredness wasn't tiredness anymore. It was like the waves of death. I could feel it like death, and it come in waves, one wave, and I'd come out the other, another. It kept on going till I came out the other side, and it was as if I'd died, and there was these big, still, just benevolent beings there. And I stayed there for a while, and afterwards I came back. And I think it was that point that somehow I decided, well, I'm not going to die, or I got the job, or they connected with me, or whatever happened. I think that is where it's happened. Then for about 2 months my Kundalini went off. I was completely off my block. Coming down from that, I went to the dentist. He told me this was pulled back. So I started working on that. blinding light comes through and holographic breathing starts. From dying of Lyme's disease, I start curing myself from Lyme's disease and start teaching this new way of breathing. I don't think that is isolated experiences. I think they were all coming together as one thing, as the end of one life and the start of a new. And in a way, I did go home, but I didn't have to lose my physical body. I think I just got a new imprint for a new life and just carried on. And I've had to fight tiredness and fatigue and illness all of the way. But however tired or ill I've been, there's one thing that I've always had inside. I've always been a fighter. I will always fight to the death. Do you know what I mean? I won't stop. So I think they saw that about me, that if they gave it to me, I would actually fight to bring it through. I had to do it. And I was seeing this lady for different, before I learned how to make the remedies myself. And I said to her, you see all of those people doing those incredible things, climbing Everest, doing these amazing physical things. And I said, well, someone with Lyme's disease, just climbing the stairs, you're getting the same achievement as somebody, a fit person, climbing Everest. It kind of takes that just to carry on your life. So I've got full empathy with anybody. And there's such a disheartening thing when your immune system cannot fight off illnesses, because the Lyme's disease undermines your immune system. So you can't fight off colds, you can't fight off infections, you have to do it another way. And it's a bit like your body's saying, I can't fight it off, I might as well be dead. If my body can't fight off illnesses, I might as well be dead. And it's very demoralizing. But just to keep going, and now more and more my body is strong. I fight off diseases. I've got more strength to teach. Doing hands-on work was quite tiring for me, but webinars, it gives me enough distance so I really let this spiritual energy just course through me. I can really let rip when I'm just able, and that I just love that channeling coming through me. I just love that every time. And I think that just healing me. And it isn't to stay alive anymore. I just realize the accomplishment in inner journeying and all of the things. Maybe I can't heal certain things, and maybe I can't heal certain organs physically, but I can work with and heal the karma behind that and teach other people how to do it, so that when I leave, if I come back, I don't have that same thing next time. So it isn't always to heal yourself before you die, or sometimes it's to heal the karma of what you're dying from, so you don't have to deal with it again. Because I'm not so sure that everything just gets 100% better. Because we're all going to die at some point. We're all going to have to embrace death at some point. And isn't it be nice to come to the end of that journey and just feel fulfilled that you've given what you've been able to give. So, I will die. I can't imagine that I'm just, because before I was like a Tai Chi teacher, I was teaching, 15 classes, 2-hour classes a week, doing healing, doing keep fit. I was a tremendously healthy, vibrant person. And then to be nearly dead, I can't imagine, I don't feel it in myself that I'm going to get back to that kind of health. But I do feel it in myself that is given me an impetus to use kind of my courage or my tenacity or my fight to be able to give this gift over to the world. So it's not just to try and get healthy for myself. So, yeah. Did that answer that one? Great.